Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Arvind Educations or Arvind Biology classes. For latest updates, please subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching my channel. So in this part, we are going to discuss about pulmonary respiration. If respiration occurs through lungs, it is called as pulmonary respiration. So here in this concept, we will see the human respiration. So human respiration, this is our respiratory system. Nostrils, nasal cavity, and then pharynx, and this is buccal cavity, mouth region, and larynx, glottis and epiglottis. Okay, then this is trachea. Trachea is continued as bronchus. They are further divided to form bronchioles. They are there in the two lungs. Okay, so let us start with one particular part and let us see how each and every part play a role in human respiration. Okay, so we possess a pair of lungs located in the rib cage, externally protected by ribs and sternum breastbone, and at the bottom it is protected by diaphragm and backside vertebral column. Okay, now let me start with the first one, that is nostrils. Okay, so nostrils are the two openings, external openings, which are responsible for the movement of gases. That means during inhalation and during exhalation, the gases are moved from these two openings. That comes under nostrils, so called external nostrils. Next, nasal cavity. Nasal cavity. So that the cavity, the pipeline, the structure which is present behind these external nostrils is called nasal cavity. Nasal cavity is separated by nasal septum. Okay, and this particular nasal cavity is internally lined by, first of all it is separated by nasal septum. Okay, nasal septum, and then it is internally lined by ciliated mucous epithelium. Internally lined by ciliated mucous epithelium, and it also possesses olfactory receptors. Okay, now this particular nasal cavity, which is covered internally by ciliated mucous epithelium, is responsible to produce the mucus. Okay, this particular mucus is responsible to trap the dust particles and microbes, and which are expelled outside later on. Okay, and this particular nasal cavity also humidify the air. Okay, first it traps the dust particles and microbes, and then it humidify the air what you are inhaling. Second, it adjusts the air to your body temperature. Okay, so it add warmth to the air, it add humidity to the air, so that the air what you inhale will suit to your body temperature. So these are the three functions which are performed by the nasal cavity. It also possesses hair-like structure. Okay, so those hair, with the help of hair and mucous epithelium, responsible to trap the dust particles and microbes. Okay, now that enters into the internal nares. This is called internal nares. So the two openings, just like external nostrils, inside your nasal cavity opens into the pharynx with the help of two openings called internal nares. Okay, and here one more point you have to remember: palate bone or bony palate is separating nasal cavity and buccal cavity. Palate bone is separating nasal cavity and buccal cavity. Nose and mouth are separated by this particular palate bone. Okay, next let us see pharynx. So pharynx is the common passage for both food and air. Food will enters like that. Air also enters into that particular pharynx region only. So it is a common passage for both food and air, and food and air should be separated here and should send into their respective pipelines. That means food should enter into food pipe and air should enter into windpipe. And this particular pharynx is connected to larynx with the help of glottis. Epiglottis and glottis together prevent the entry of food into trachea. Okay. For example, if this is the pharynx and pharynx is continued into two pipelines like this. Actually, they are not side by side. This is pharynx. Okay, let us assume this is trachea, your windpipe, and this is esophagus, your food pipe. Okay, actually trachea and esophagus are not side by side. The thing what you see here, front one is trachea, and behind trachea esophagus is present. So when you swallow something, okay, when you swallow food or water, that should enter into esophagus, and when you inhale, it should enter into your trachea. So that separation is done by this structure called glottis, and there is a lid-like structure is present here. This is called epiglottis. Okay, so whenever you are swallowing something, glottis part, this part is raised to certain extent, and epiglottis close the way. This epiglottis closes the way so that whatever you swallowed will enter into esophagus. Okay, then whenever you are inhaling, the epiglottis will open the way so that the air will enter into trachea. And here, improper closure of epiglottis leads to cough or choking, because if food particle by chance enters into trachea, sometimes it may even cause death also. That's why proper closure of epiglottis and glottis is required, and that will not allow the entry of food into trachea. Okay, then once you understand that, then let us see what is larynx. Larynx is commonly called as voice box. It is even also called as Adam's apple. Larynx is called as voice box because larynx is made up of two flap-like structures called vocal cords. With the help of these vocal cords, whenever we are expelling air outside, whenever we are exhaling air outside, that air whenever passing through these vocal cords, it leads to the production of sound. That's why it is called as voice box. Larynx is called as voice box. Then after larynx, then we have to see trachea. Trachea is commonly called as windpipe. This is commonly called as windpipe. It is approximately 10 to 12 centimeters in length, and trachea is supported by C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Trachea is supported by C-shaped cartilaginous rings, which prevents trachea from collapsing and closing. Okay, then trachea is internally lined by mucous membrane. Trachea is also internally lined by ciliated columnar epithelium tissue. So this particular trachea, as it possesses mucous membrane and it is lined by ciliated columnar epithelium tissue, right? They trap the dust particles and they trap the microbes which are sent towards anterior side with the beating of the cilia present on the columnar epithelium tissue. Okay, so the microbes and dust particles are not allowed into the lungs. They are kicked out, they are expelled out with the help of this ciliated columnar epithelium tissue. Okay, so as trachea is made up of C-shaped cartilaginous rings, so it is prevented from collapsing. Okay, so that is regarding trachea. The trachea in the thoracic region, chest region, it is continued to form as bronchus. Bronchus divided to form as right and left bronchi, opens into right and left lungs respectively. Bronchi once enters into the lungs, it undergo further division to form several bronchioles which are still formed into smaller bronchioles which are still formed into smaller bronchioles. So the bronchus and bronchioles, they are also supported with C-shaped cartilaginous rings. They are also internally lined by mucous membrane and columnar epithelium tissue. Okay, the final stage where the bronchioles ends with alveoli, such type of smaller bronchioles, they do not possess cartilaginous rings. Other than that, the above bronchioles and the bronchi, they are internally supported by C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Okay, so that is regarding bronchus and bronchioles. Now, as I told you earlier, we human beings possess a pair of lungs located in the chest region. Right lung is bigger than the left one. Right lung possesses 3 lobes, left lung possesses only 2 lobes, and they are well protected inside this particular rib cage. Now, the 2 lungs are surrounded by 2 membranes. These two membranes are called pleural membranes. They are called pleural membranes. And please remember, outer is called parietal pleura. Outer is called parietal pleura, whereas inside is called visceral pleura. Inside is called visceral pleura. Lungs are internally protected by 2 layers. These 2 layers together called pleural membranes. The outer pleural membrane is called parietal pleura. The inner pleural membrane is called visceral pleura. So the 2 pleural membranes, and in between pleural membranes the fluid flows. That is called pleural fluid. This is called pleural fluid. So pleural membranes and the pleural fluid which is present between these 2 membranes protect the lungs from protect the lungs from mechanical shocks and injuries, and they also avoid the friction whenever your lungs are expanding and relaxing. They should not compress, or they should not come in touch with the rib bones. So to avoid friction, as well as your lungs are protected from mechanical shocks and injuries with the help of these 2 pleural membranes and pleural fluid. Okay, then as we know well, the structural and functional unit of lungs are alveoli. Lungs are made up of approximately 300 million alveoli. They are made up of alveoli, and alveolus singular, alveoli plural. 300 million alveoli are there, and covering approximately area of 80 square meters. 80 square meters. Now, in these alveoli, the process of exchange of gases occurs. So let us see the structure of alveoli and how the exchange of gases occurs here. Now, for example, if this is alveoli, alveoli wall is surrounded by a single layer of epithelium tissue. And each alveoli inside the lung is surrounded by one particular capillary. Okay, so this is one capillary which is surrounding each alveoli. Let us take one alveoli surrounded by one capillary. Okay, so the blood which is entering, this is called deoxygenated blood, and the blood which exits, this is called oxygenated blood. And inside the capillary you will find definitely RBC, okay, and this is wall of alveoli, and this is wall of capillary, and this is the oxygen which is taken inside, and oxygen is diffused into wall of capillary, and carbon dioxide from capillary diffused into alveoli, and the carbon dioxide is expelled outside. Let us see in detail. Lungs are made up of alveoli. Alveoli is a small sac-like structure which is surrounded by thin epithelium, one layer of epithelium cells. Each alveoli is surrounded by a finer capillary. These capillaries are carrying blood. By the time when the capillary is passing away from this particular alveoli, the deoxygenated blood is converted to form as oxygenated blood. What happens here? Exchange of gases occurs. The deoxygenated blood is converted to oxygenated blood. Purification occurs here. Okay. So when you inhale, as a part of breathing, when you inhale oxygen rich air, that oxygen rich air through your respiratory pathway reaches the lungs, finally it enters the alveoli. Now it enters the alveoli. I am talking about oxygen. So the amount of oxygen which is present inside your alveoli is more comparing with the amount of oxygen which is present in the capillary. Okay, that means when you see the ratios, right, the amount of oxygen which is present in the alveoli is around 21% oxygen, and the amount of oxygen which is present in the capillary wall is around 16%. Okay, so this particular oxygen which is in higher concentration will diffuse from alveoli into capillary network. So the oxygen is diffused from alveoli into capillary network because of more concentration of oxygen inside the alveoli comparing with the oxygen present in the capillary. Okay, then the amount of carbon dioxide present in the capillary is around 4%, and the amount of carbon dioxide which is present in the alveoli is 0.03%. So naturally, the amount of carbon dioxide which is present in the capillary wall is more comparing with the amount of carbon dioxide present in the alveoli. So carbon dioxide present in the blood capillary is diffused into alveoli. Okay, so this is venous blood. So venous blood is possessing more amount of carbon dioxide. This more amount of carbon dioxide is diffused into alveoli because of these ratio differences. Then the oxygen which is present in alveoli diffused into blood capillary. Okay, so that by the time when this capillary is leaving this particular alveoli, the blood is turned into oxygenated blood. So the exchange of gases are seen here, right, just because of diffusion principle. Okay, that means when you see the ratios clearly, say for example, when you are talking about gases and the percentage in inhaled air and percentage in exhaled air, when you are talking about these gases, let us see first oxygen. Oxygen is here in inhaled air is 21%, exhaled air is 16%. Then carbon dioxide, inhaled air is 0.03% and around 4% in exhaled air. Okay, you see the case of nitrogen, it is around 79% approximately, around 79% approximately. Okay, so by this particular flowchart you can understand how and what are the ratios of gases which are present in inhaled air and exhaled air. Okay, so if you are able to understand this, then the process of diffusion of gases and the process of exchange of gases in alveoli and between the wall of capillary, you can understand it very easily. Okay, so this is how the exchange of gases is seen in alveoli. And as you know well, the deoxygenated blood from the heart, means that is from right ventricle, is supplied to the lungs with the help of pulmonary artery, and in the lungs the blood is purified, it is turned into oxygenated blood. Now the oxygenated blood is carried by pulmonary vein into left auricle. Okay, now left auricle will pump the blood into left ventricle, and from left ventricle with the help of systemic aorta, that oxygenated blood is supplied to all the body organs. Okay, so this is regarding exchange of gases and structure of human lungs. Once you understand this, then let us see the mechanism of breathing. Okay, so we are breathing means we are inhaling and exhaling. So breathing includes two steps. One is inhalation, also called inspiration. The other one is exhalation, also called expiration. So let us see the mechanism involved in breathing. Let us see the mechanism of breathing. Mechanism of breathing. As I told you earlier, breathing includes two stages. Inhalation, exhalation. Inhalation is also called as inspiration, exhalation is also called as expiration. Okay, so let us see what happens during first inhalation. Okay, so during inhalation, see, your lungs are well protected by the rib cage, which are attached to the intercostal muscles, and they are connected to the sternum, the breastbone, which is present in the middle of the chest region. And at the bottom, dome shaped diaphragm is present. Okay, so in the middle of these, the lungs are well situated. Okay, now let us see during inhalation, first, due to the contraction of external intercostal muscles, the rib cage is moved outward and upward. The rib cage is moved outward and upward. Okay, so because of this, a little more space is created for the lungs. Okay, first, due to the contraction of external intercostal muscles, rib cage moved outward and upward, so space is created for the lungs. Next, diaphragm, the dome shaped diaphragm, which is arched towards the base of the lungs. The dome shaped diaphragm gets flattened, it becomes straight. So diaphragm is flattened. So when the diaphragm is flattened, then more space is created for the lungs lengthwise. So because of this reason, what happened, as lungs are elastic bags, so they expanded a little, and because of that, the amount of atmospheric pressure inside the lungs is decreased comparing with the air outside. So air from outside is rushed in through your respiratory passage into your lungs. Let me repeat again. During inhalation, due to the contraction of external intercostal muscles, the rib cage is moved outward and upward, and the diaphragm, the dome-shaped diaphragm, is turned flattened so that more space is created for the lungs. Okay, as lungs are elastic bags, they shows expansion. So the amount of atmospheric pressure is decreased in the lungs comparing with outside. So air from outside is rushed inside. That is inhalation. Then during exhalation, due to the relaxation of intercostal muscles, your rib cage will come back to its normal position, and your diaphragm is, the flattened diaphragm is again become dome shaped. So when the flattened diaphragm turned into dome shaped, they compress the lungs. Okay, during exhalation, due to the relaxation of intercostal muscles, the rib cage come back to the normal position, so they compress the lungs, they move inward. Okay, then the flattened diaphragm become again arch shaped, so they compress the lungs from bottom. Because of that reason, the atmospheric pressure inside the lungs is increased comparing with outside. So air from inside is forcibly sent outside. Okay, that is called exhalation. So inhalation, exhalation, both are almost opposite actions. Okay, then during inhalation or exhalation, the pathway which is involved, the respiratory pathway which is involved here is external nostrils, from external nostrils into nasal cavity, nasal cavity into internal nares into pharynx, pharynx into larynx, larynx into trachea, trachea into bronchi, bronchi into bronchioles, and bronchioles into alveoli. So during inhalation, the inhaled air inhaled air enter into your lungs through this particular pathway, and during exhalation, the carbon dioxide rich air from alveoli enters into bronchioles, bronchioles to bronchi, bronchi to trachea, trachea to larynx, larynx to pharynx, pharynx to internal nares, nasal cavity and external nares, and then it goes outside. This is the respiratory pathway of gases. Okay, then in man, diaphragm play major role during the process of respiration. In women, ribs play major role in the process of respiration. Okay, then rate of respiration also varied with the age. For example, in the case of infants, right, newborn babies, it is 32 times per minute, whereas in the case of 5 years age baby, it is 26 times per minute, whereas in the case of adults, it is around 12 to 15 times per minute, and in the case of above 50 years, it is 18 times per minute. In the case of children, infants and children, the rate of breathing is higher because they are in growing stage. More number of cells are undergoing division. Okay, as cells are undergoing cell division, they require glucose and oxygen. So for that particular purpose, the child is respiring vigorously. Okay, right? Thank you for watching my videos. For more updates, please subscribe my channel, Arvind Biology Classes or Arvind Educations.